Hello, I'm Daphne Alexopoulou here in Brisbane, Australia, and I will be presenting Emmanuel Williams for a reading about and around nature. This will be on next Friday the 14th at 1 p.m. Pacific time.
Thank you, Daphne. Why do a ZoomMuse, which is a nature poetry? And my response, the idea I came up with was, to some extent, I think many of us have lost a deep contact with the natural world, partly because so many of us now are living in cities, and partly because many of us are in lockdown, so it's harder for us to go out into the parks and woods, even if they're not far from us. And I think what poems about the natural world can do is they can touch and bring to life our feelings of wonder towards and love of the natural world. And if those feelings become part of our relationship with the natural world, then not only do we not want to allow and watch the desecration of our planet just from simple survival and economic reasons, but also because the natural world is a place of absolute wonder, absolute enchantment. I'm sitting here saying this, and I'm looking out the window at the Sierra foothills of mountains and with forests on them, and I'm watching a small yellow butterfly dance around the flowers in our front garden. There it goes. And so I'm hoping that this will not only be a pleasant experience in itself, listening to nature poetry, but also it will move, incite, stimulate people to go online, look for good nature poems. Look for good nature poems and read them. Since I started working on finding good poems and selecting them for this show, this Zoom, I have found that my feelings for the natural world, which were already strong, have been enhanced, have been deepened, have been enlivened by them. I didn't even realize it was happening, but I was sitting out on our balcony at the back with these beautiful oak trees turning green as spring arrives, reading nature poems and then looking up at pigeons hurtling through the sky and woodpeckers and blue jays, and just feeling an added sense of wonder for them. So that is kind of what's behind this, why I would like to do this. The wonderful thing is that there are a lot of really good nature poets who've written beautiful nature poems. Certainly in the English literature tradition, which is one of the strongest parts of English culture, there are some wonderful nature poets. One of the most famous ones is William Wordsworth. So I'm hoping to include him. Another one is Gerald Manley Hopkins, and I'm hoping to include him. Another one is Keats, of course. So, and D.H. Lawrence is another one. And then in American nature poetry, there's Gary Snyder, of course, who's one of my favorite American poets, and Wendell Berry and W.S. Merwin, to mention just three. All of those I've realized are male, but there are some very good female nature poets too, including a lady called Denise Levertov, whose poetry I love. So we will be reading, mainly me reading, a selection of poems from people like that, really good nature poetry. And I think we're going to get one or two poems from Daphne Alexopoulou and one or two from me.
It's interesting that you were saying that, Emmanuel, because the same happened here, because I'm fasting and I can't do very much.
Oh, right.
I started looking at poetry. So I thought, okay, you mentioned a lot of male poets. Maybe I'll do women, you know. So then I couldn't find very much. So I thought, okay, I'll look at Australia. And that didn't work too well because there's too many poems that have put, you know, school children off poetry about nature. But then very last minute, I found two things. And one of the things is an answer to why people need this poetry and what is happening when women are writing. It's less of this, we go out and we look at nature and talk about it. You know, there's very much, it's in and out. So you put nature in, then you put your inner feelings, then you put nature in and all that. So I found a surprise poem by Sylvia Plath, which I would like to do on the blackberrying, which is one of a few upbeat ones. It's beautiful. So I thought I'll read that. But there was also something in the, you know, because everybody quotes Mary Oliver, but there was a little bit in a poem called The Summer Day, which is very short, and I'll just read it because I think it also says why people need it. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I have been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?
Yes.
It's a yes.
That expresses it beautifully.
Yeah.
So I'll do that one, which is crab.
All right, go ahead.
I said, hey, old sloucher, old lurcher, old bully boy, carapacious lout. You with your periscope eyeballs, your sidewalk shuffle. You in your camo, hunch like a tank with your claws and your jaws and your waterproof, slaughterproof, laughterproof armor. Hey, old sloucher, you with your back to the wall, crusty old hoodlum, brooding in cracks, crustaceous thug, gripping and ripping at kelp, clenched on yourself like a fist. Surly old, burly old, gnarly old wart. Someone should tell you you're beautiful.
Hoping to see you next weekend on Friday, the 14th, 1 p.m. Pacific time. Bye now.